Well, if Ubisoft thought 2024 was bad, just wait till you see what's coming up for them next. This is absolutely insane. I mean, you couldn't feel worse for a worse company, to be honest. These guys have mismanaged everything under the sun. They had this disastrous launch for Skull and Bones, Star Wars Outlaws, spent a fortune on both, including, their delayed game Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is supposed to come out now in about, 6 weeks? Sometime in, I think it's like Valentine's Day or some second week of February. Absolutely nuts that they decided to postpone this game due to the pushback from fans, from gamers around the world, in Japan especially, for their disrespect for Japanese culture, with, of course, Yasuke and all this other crap in Assassin's Creed Shadows. But it gets better, because now we are seeing that Ubisoft's value has tanked with a market cap drop of 85% in the last 4 years. Holy crap, this is absolutely insane for Ubisoft. And of course, like I said, it couldn't happen to a worse company, because let's be honest, let's be real here. Before we get into this article from That Park Place, Ubisoft is a company who has actively worked against gamers as a whole. They've attacked their customers, they've attacked the main audience in the video game industry across the board. This is a company that has helped create companies like Sweet Baby Inc. Remember that we've seen these connected threads from people like Master of the TDS over at Gothic Therapy, from Savvy Artist on Twitter. I think Kirsch Verstal has done some of this stuff as well. A lot of this wokeness, this DEI push, the game consulting companies, the voice actors who are excessively woke, a lot of these people all have connections to Ubisoft. Ubisoft seems to be the hotbed for all of this insane leftist ideology within the video game industry as a whole. And so to feel sorry for Ubisoft at this point would be, I'm not going to shed a tear for them. I'm sorry. There's just no way that I'm going to shed a tear for these guys. I have talked to certain developers at certain studios that while I might not like the studio, you can feel sorry for the person who loses their job, who did a good job, and they didn't do anything on their own to cause their company to fail. Ubisoft, no tears. None whatsoever coming from me. So this article says, once a titan in the gaming industry, Ubisoft has experienced a dramatic and concerning decline in value over the past 4 years. From a market capitalization of $12.17 billion in January 2021, the company's value plummeted to a mere $1.78 billion by January 2025. Holy crap. So, I'm a day trader. I have a Robinhood stock app, and I barely have any money invested in it. And I have stock that's lost like a few of those meme stocks like AMC that lost a lot of money after, the stock plummeted. But 85%, I couldn't even fathom what that would look like on paper if you had a heavy amount of money invested in something. That is insane. This represents an alarming loss of approximately 85% of its market value, underscoring severe financial turmoil and strategic missteps that have left the Assassin's Creed developers struggling to maintain its foothold in a highly competitive industry. In January 2021, Ubisoft stood strong with a market cap of $12.17 billion. This reflected its status as a powerhouse in the gaming world. However, by January 2024, the company's value had been cut by over 74%, dropping to $3.14 billion. So 74% drop going into last year. And then last year was something else. I mean, guys, if you don't understand, Skull and Bones, the descendant of Assassin's Creed Black Flags, it was supposed to be the next great pirate game. And of course, we've had great pirate games like Sea of Thieves, which is very different from Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but still it's a good game. So Skull and Bones was supposed to be the next big step into this franchise that has done exceedingly well, and especially with, again, how much people love Black Flag, the sea battles, the sea shanties, all that interaction on that part of the game was fantastic. It had a lot of fans. A lot of us, even if you weren't a fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise, Black Flag was amazing. So Skull and Bones should have knocked it out of the park, and it absolutely sputtered and failed miserably. And that just kicked it off. And allegedly, this is a game that cost them $650 million and up to make. So very concerning for Ubisoft. It says the downward trajectory continued unabated into 2025, where the market cap further decreased by nearly 43% from the previous year, settling at $1.78 billion. This total reduction of $10.39 billion over the 4 years highlights deep-rooted issues within the company's operations and strategy. When we factor in their most recent reported loans from March 2024, totaling $2.71 billion, likely higher now due to updated rates and additional borrowing not yet reflected in the valuation, Ubisoft's financial position seems to have worsened compared to 2024. The company's inability to sustain liquidity sufficient to cover its mounting debt is exacerbated by the impending release of Assassin's Creed Shadow in February, a game that has already garnered significant negative reception. Now, I'm going to go out there on a limb and say that I think Assassin's Creed Shadows might make its money back. I don't know. I think that there's enough people who are immune to the culture war, who are turning a deaf ear to it, that they probably will still make their money back. But again, I think that also depends on what the final total, the total cost for this game, ends up being. If the game ended up costing $400 to $600 million to make, then I might change my tune. I might change my story on that. Because again, games that cost that kind of money very rarely, it seems, make their money back. In fact, Ubisoft had somebody that came out and said only 10% of the video games in the AAA video game industry actually make their money back. So 90% lose money. And think about it this way. Ubisoft is a company that has told gamers to get comfortable not owning their own games. You've had their CEO and other people that are high up at the company calling people like bigots and racists and misogynists. And now you have them also coming out and saying, yeah, only 10% of these games make money, while they're constantly spending money hand over fist on terrible games that should be good games on paper. These should make money, but for some weird reason, they are just not succeeding. If Shadows flops, it could cripple Ubisoft's ability to secure further loans to sustain operations through 2025. With its current valuation to debt ratio, no bank would likely extend additional credit without a solid assurance of repayment, which I think is where Tencent steps in. Because if you remember, Tencent is one of these companies that is slowly gobbling up these other studios in the West. And again, this is a Chinese-funded, studio. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, that Tencent does have connections again to BlackRock and Vanguard and other of these hedge funds, these investment firms that are, controlling 90% of the stock market anyways. And so it would not shock me if again, this is another situation where they have to turn to Tencent as their savior, as the Guillemot family desperately tries to maintain control of their family's company, which good luck with that. Tencent, once they're in, you're not going to get rid of them. They're going to take over. It'd be very, very interesting to see if somehow the Guillemots actually maintain control of their own company. Unless a miracle occurs, Shadows could deepen Ubisoft's financial woes and potentially push the company towards bankruptcy. Industry expert Joost van Drooyen, founder of Superdata, has voiced a grim prognosis for Ubisoft, suggesting that the company is on the verge of privatization and dismantling in 2025, which again I think points to the inevitable conclusion where Tencent will probably buy them out. It says financially, Ubisoft is grappling with mounting debt and declining revenue. As of its latest financial report, Ubisoft's non-IFRS net debt stands at 1.1 billion, I believe that's euros, and its IFRS net debt has risen to 1.4 billion, up sharply from 880.8 million the previous year. With cash reserves dwindling to 932 million, the company is struggling to generate sufficient revenue to offset its borrowing costs. Additionally, they estimate an annual cost of $746 million for maintaining an 18,666, that's a funny number, 18,666 strong workforce. Is unsustainable given the declining revenues and increasing debt burden. And remember, they also had another massive failure this year too. I don't know the total numbers on what they spent on this Call of Duty Killer X Defiant, but the game has already been announced that it is going to be shutting down after Ubisoft came out months ago saying, you heard wrong, this game's not going anywhere, we're not shutting down, there's no way. And yet then they had to come out, eat crow, eat their own words and say, yeah, you know what, we lied. The game isn't working for us, it's not making any money, it's gonna have to get shut down. So this is a very interesting situation. I think that this is just spelling more disaster for Ubisoft. I cannot imagine they make it out of 2025. Guys, they will be purchased by Tencent, at least in a majority shareholder position, maybe privatized and controlled by Tencent by the end of the year. I almost can guarantee it based on the way things are trending. But let me know what you guys think about all this down below, down in the comments, and I will catch you guys on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have two channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.